and this one is the Arcane Abominations expansion. If you're not familiar with this original game, this is a cooperative dungeon crawler that can be played both as one-off scenarios, or you can play through the several included campaigns that are going to be stringing several scenarios together. The new expansion is going to be adding a bunch of new playable characters, new monsters, gear, spells, and traps that you can just go ahead and mix into the game, but there's also going to be all these monster modifier cards that you can combine with any monster to create nearly endless amounts of unique monster combinations and to make those monsters just a little bit more difficult. There's also going to be a new campaign added into the game as well as a bunch of new scenarios. But as I mentioned, this is a cooperative game and players are going to be playing as different characters with different stats and abilities, as well as different restrictions as to what gear and items they can use. Players are going to be using actions to move around out on the board and discover new areas, with each new area potentially adding new monsters onto the board. Players are also going to be using actions to fight, and defeating monsters can gain you with additional experience points, as well as new loot and items that you can use to upgrade your character, but using those experience points to upgrade your stats. Turn order in this game is determined by the players and the enemies' different initiative values, and the enemy's initiative values will just be a predetermined value, whereas each of the characters can actually have a different value from round to round. And this is a really interesting aspect of this game because on your turn you're going to be rolling dice and then combining that with your stats in order to determine the amount of initiative that you have. What's cool about this is that this game utilizes exploding dice, so any values that roll a 0, you're actually going to be able to roll 2 more dice, adding those results onto your overall roll, and if any of those are zeros, you're just going to be doing that over again, which can actually create quite huge combos where you're getting quite a lot of initiative, which is really nice because your initiative also doubles as your action points. You're going to be using those action points to move around on the board, collect loot, interact with different items and mission objectives using skill checks, and of course also to fight different enemies. Combat in this game is determined by rolling dice in combination with either your attack or defense value, depending on which side of the attack you're on. And this also uses the exploding dice mechanism, adding a little bit more excitement into the combat. And if you are able to reach certain thresholds of damage, you can actually deal additional critical damage on top of your base amount. But the game continues like this as players play throughout those different scenarios and try to complete their mission objectives. And if you are able to do that, you win the game, but if any of the players are defeated, then all the players lose. If you want to check this one out, I will have it linked down below, and of course you can click to follow along with this campaign and get notified once it launches.